Hi, I'm Troy from Studio 33 Guitar. Thanks for watching. And today we're looking at how to play Afterglow by Ed Sheeran. This is a brand new song, just came out a couple of days ago. It sounds great and it's a lot of fun to play. And it's pretty simple. It only has 4 chords throughout the entire song. The hardest part about this song will be the strumming pattern, but I'll break that down and show you exactly how to do that. You'll also need a capo for this song, and if you don't have one, you can order one on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below for the one that I normally use. Now, if you don't have a capo, you can still play this song with these same chords. It'll just sound a little bit lower without the capo. As always, you can go to my website, studio33guitar.com, and you can print off a free PDF chord chart and lyric sheet for this song. If you print that off, it'll make it a little easier to follow along. I'll put a link in the description below that'll take you right to it. So let's zoom in on the neck and have a look at how to play Afterglow. As I mentioned, you will need a capo for this song, so you're going to put that capo on the 4th fret. Now this song doesn't start with an intro, it actually jumps right into the first verse. I'll play through that so you can hear what it would sound like. Now let's talk about the chords that we're going to use for this first, and then we'll look at the strumming pattern. So the first chord that you're going to use is going to look like a G chord. Now with the capo on there, technically this is a B chord, but I'm going to refer to them as the shapes that they normally would be called. So you're going to go with a typical G chord shape. Now we're just going to change this slightly. So we're going to put our middle finger on that 3rd fret up from the capo. And normally we would use our index finger on this 2nd fret. But we're going to leave that off right now. And we're going to let our middle finger lay a little bit flat on that next string just to keep it from ringing, because we actually don't want that in this chord at all. So we have our middle finger here, the next string's not ringing, the next 2 strings are ringing open, and then after that we're going to have our pinky finger and ring finger on these 2 strings. And all together with that middle finger in there, that's going to sound like this. So typically a G chord would have that index finger note. We're just going to leave that out so it can just hang out there. The next chord we're going to use is like a C add 9 chord, which for that we just move our middle finger down 1 string. Everything else stays the way it is. And again, normally our index finger would be right here, but we're going to leave that off. Again, we don't need it, and we're going to let that middle finger lay a little bit flat to keep that next string from ringing. And also what I do is I'll use my middle finger just to nudge up against this low E string to keep that one from ringing as well. So that chord sounds like this. The next chord we're going to do is a D sus4 chord, and again these 2 fingers get to stay right where they are, and we're just going to plug our index finger in here on the 2nd fret of the G string. And that's basically the same spot you would be if you were to play a regular D major chord like this, but instead we're going to have our pinky down and we don't need that middle finger in there. And we're only playing from the D string down. And for this song, Ed Sheeran really focuses on these lower 3 strings. He doesn't really hit this high pinky note string so much. So that's what you want to try and do, is sort of focus on just those lower strings. And this next chord is going to be an E minor 7 chord. And again, these 2 fingers get to stay exactly where they are. And we're going to put our index finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, and then our middle finger directly below that. And that sounds like this. And then that's going to lead us back to the C chord that we were playing earlier. And then the sequence is going to start over again. And those are the chords that you need for the verse, and they're also the same chords you're going to use for the chorus, but they're just going to be in a slightly different order. So now let's look at the strumming pattern that you'll use throughout the entire song. For this strumming pattern, we're going to be playing mostly all down strums, and we're going to be counting 1/8 notes throughout this. So typically, if we were counting quarter notes, we would count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to count 1/8 notes, we're going to add an and in between each of those. So that would be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we're also going to add in what's called palm muting. And for palm muting, we're going to use the palm of our hand just to rest lightly on the strings. Now it's best if you do this back close to the bridge. If you're too far forward, you're going to mute the strings out completely. But if you play closer to the bridge, if you just rest your palm on there as you play, it'll give you a little bit more of a controlled sound. So I'll demonstrate the difference. Here's without palm muting. And here's with palm muting. Now, if you've never done that before, you're going to want to experiment a little bit and figure out exactly where your hand should go. But basically, my palm of my hand goes just in front of this bridge section where the strings pass over this little piece of plastic here. And if you just rest your palm on there, you don't want to push down because, again, that'll kind of mute the sound. You just rest it on there lightly and it'll give you that little bit more of a muted sound. And that's important to get the feel that Ed Sheeran has on this song. Now we're going to emphasize some of those beats a little bit more than the others. So we're going to concentrate on emphasizing beat number 1 and then the and after beat 2 and beat number 4. Now to do that emphasis, what we're going to do is for all of our strums, we're really going to concentrate on these lower strings. But when we want to do the emphasis, we're going to play a little bit more and get more of the full chord in there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. So you can see how I'm concentrating on these lower strings, and then when I want to emphasize the chord, I'm doing more of a full strum. So there is one upstroke that we're going to add to this pattern, but first you want to get really comfortable with being able to do all of that together. Be able to play with the palm muting, play all down strums, and be able to emphasize on those beats. So spend some time doing that first, and then move on to this part where we add the upstroke. The upstroke is going to come in after the and after beat 4. So we're going to count 4 and So on that is where the upstroke comes in. Slowly that would look like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So one time through that strumming pattern is 1 bar. Now for the verse, we play that G chord for 2 bars. So we're going to play that strumming pattern 2 full times. Then we play that C chord 2 bars, and then the D chord for 1 bar, E minor for 1, and then the C again for 2, and then we start over again. So all together, that's going to sound like this. So the full verse would be that chord progression 2 times through. And then we move on to what we're going to call the pre-chorus. And this is where he talks about being love drunk. Let's take a look at that. The pre-chorus of this song uses the same chords that we just looked at, but in a slightly different order. It's going to start on this C chord. Let me do a quick playthrough so you can hear how it sounds. So that sequence is C to G to D. So the C again is for 2 full bars, G is for 1 bar, and D is for 1 bar. And we play through that sequence 4 times, and then it hits the chorus. And the chorus is just where he sings, "I will hold on to the afterglow." And for that, he's actually playing the same chords again. We're playing that C for 2 bars, G for 1 bar, D for a bar. And he does that 2 times through. So really that whole chord progression, you're going to end up playing 6 times for the pre-chorus and the chorus together. After the pre-chorus and chorus, that leads you to verse 2, which is played the same way as verse 1. and then you play another pre-chorus and chorus, and then that's the end of the song. So it's a pretty simple song, but it's a lot of fun to play. Like I said, the strumming pattern might be a little bit different for some of you if you're a beginner, but if you work on that, break it down like I showed you, you should be able to get that in no time. If you like this lesson, then please let me know and leave a comment down below. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next lesson. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.